Hello, legends, and welcome to Blunt Force Healing Podcast, episode 271. And this is the video update number 49. And let me explain for new listeners, because obviously my project is not straightforward if you look at the numbers that I'm providing sometimes. The episode number equals exactly the number of days that this podcast and underpinning it blog exists. So if we have episode 271, then it means that it's exactly 271 days since it exists. And every single day from the start, this podcast was created in audio or video version, as well as the blog post has been written, because it's a journal style project. Why I mentioned the video update number 49 is because I didn't record from the start the video updates. So video updates started just kind of recently. The only video update in 2022 was somewhere in December, and then there were about 3 or maybe 4 other randomly picked video updates where I had time to drop the video. But at some stage I decided to do video updates like this one and continued on the same streak as I do with the blog and the podcast in general in audio version. So you can consider that this is 48th video in 2023 because one video update happened in 2022. I don't remember how many videos we do have in a row, but I'll check that up and I'll update you on the next episode, which will be episode 50 tomorrow. Today is a lovely Friday. A lot of people like Fridays because of the working week ending, which is great for most of us because we like to get that restful weekend if we have a chance. And it wasn't any different for me. I was waiting kind of for that Friday, albeit I did most of the work that was really stressing me out by Wednesday end of day, so Thursday was like Friday for me. And today I only had one fixed meeting that I had to attend at work. Of course, I had a lot of different tasks in work behind the scenes, and I had to do it today, but from the meeting perspective, it was only one, which is very unusual. I usually have quite a few meetings across the week and days, so it was nice to have. The only problem, I would say, or issue today was that if you're in Ireland and you know Donegal, then you probably know. But most of the people are not aware that out of many rallies or kind of races, car races in Ireland across the year, one of the biggest one, one of the bigger ones, if not the biggest, is Donegal International Rally. And it happened across many years. I think the earliest was in 1970 something. I don't know if it happened annually since then or it started becoming annual race later on, but obviously it's a big deal. I spoke to a friend of mine at work and he's in the late 40s, and he told me that yeah, it's a big race when I was a kid, and remember he lives on the other side of Ireland. He traveled to Donegal with his family to see that race. So it seems to be big in the culture of Ireland. And the last year when we moved into Donegal, which was around May, end of May, because how busy that time was when we moved in, there was a lot of stuff to do and make sure that it's sorted out after the that kind of change in our life, that we missed a couple of things uh, in early summer and in generally the summer while we explored some of the Donegal. We barely remember most of the summertime because of how much stuff had to be done in in house and with all the clutter that we moved with while leaving Kilcock or the other side of Ireland in County Kildare. And one of those things was the rally itself. We learned about rally by just, I think, getting stuck in some traffic um, back in 2022. And I was a little bit disappointed because I know that Julian likes cars, and I also like to watch some, um, you know, sport cars. And yeah, and it would be a nice event to attend, but yeah, we were too late to the game. But this year, guess what? I forgot about it completely. Until yesterday and the day before, we saw a lot of, that road cones spread across the main N15, National Road N15, and also a lot of portable toilets spread across the, you know, you know, uh, alongside the road in different areas, and we were wondering what is it for. We were suspecting some event, probably maybe some marathon or something like that, but we didn't know exactly. And yesterday I went for a walk in the evening, and while I was in Donegal town, I overheard people in front of the pub speaking about the race, Donegal Rally, and I was like, "Oh, wait, I remember there was an event like that." And yes, it turned out that this was exactly what they were preparing for. And also yesterday I saw that helicopter landing just about 400 meters from our home on the grounds of Abbott's factory. And I was wondering what the hell is happening. I didn't even know that there is a place for that there is a helipad. I'm not sure even if it's there, or maybe they use the um, vast space of flat land, or maybe there's a huge parking lot there that might have been enough for the heli to land there. But it was strange to see that helicopter landing there until today. And the worst part about that rally is that it might be well organized in terms of the technical and kind of physical organization, but its online presence is almost none. There is probably some Facebook page, as far as I could find. There is some outdated web page, and it's kind of pissing me off really, because we live in 21st century, and it seems like many things in Ireland are still lacking online presence. And I'm not sure if the organizers realize that depending just on the word of mouth and some Facebook page and veterans attending the rally is the worst marketing of all. If you don't adjust to the social media and the whole exposure, the it's not only better for the whole rally and sponsorships and all that stuff, but the more people know about it, the more people talk about it, and then more people know about it. And there is probably a lot of stuff involved in terms of how this rally generates money. And one of them is like a folder or a simple book with the race plan and all the other details that you can buy. But another problem is that this book or booklet is was sold out online on the official page, and I suspect that it might still be from the year before, but I can't say for sure. I didn't check that in full. So the only place where you can get that booklet is just a couple of shops or approved outlets in Donegal County that are selling it. And obviously, I didn't bother to check because it said on the Facebook page that they are listed at the top, and there was nothing at the top of the page. So that was again some disappointment, and I didn't bother to search even further. I just went straight into Donegal County Council page and looked at which roads will be closed at different stages of the race. And the race it consists of 3 days and multiple stages. Our area hosts the first day, Friday. Then Saturday is more in the middle of County Donegal, and the third day on Sunday it's mostly northern part up to Malin Head. So the race kind of moves south to north across the Donegal County. And well, first of all, Julian missed most of the race because he was at school. So it's kind of weird that, you know, young people and kids are probably the most interested in seeing those races. So a lot of kids probably missed that part that was in our area because of the school. Like other kids won't have that problem in the other areas because it will be Saturday and Sunday. So it's another thing that I see weird in terms of organization. But I was able to take a couple of pictures and videos just to show Julian and just for my own sake. But the funny thing is, it was literally on our doorstep, so I could see it through the window, the racing cars passing by our street. And they were so noisy that I couldn't hear the only meeting that I had that day. Well, I could hear it, but there were times where it was so loud, even though I closed the door, the window, that I had to ask people to repeat what they said. And we use WebEx, which is kind of common tool across different companies. And I was surprised of how WebEx handles the noise cancellation and surroundings, because none of these people on the call, and there was about, I don't know, 20, 30 people, could hear any noise except my voice. But I, on this side, had to close the window and still had trouble sometimes to hear somebody on the call. So that was a funny experience. But yeah, after the meeting, I went out, just sat on the side of the road and took a couple of pictures. If you're interested, you can have a look into a blog post that will be linked in the description of the episode, because I always link the address of the blog in the description of the podcast. So whether you're just listening to it on Spotify or Apple, or you are actually watching it on Spotify video or on YouTube, it doesn't matter. In both areas, the description should be present and the link should be there. So yeah, you're more than welcome to check the blog and see how it goes. Other than that, we kind of waited for Julian to come back from school, so we left a little bit earlier because I was expecting a lot of troubles. Some roads were closed, some diversions were in place, and it was quite busy in town, so I was expecting a lot of clogging and delays. But we were fortunate to get there on time, and it was quite, I would say, well organized in terms of traffic. I must admit that we didn't sit in any traffic really, and we went through the Donegal town center. We even were able to park there, get our family, waffle and coffee and ice creams because the weather is still tropical. Even though the sun was coming and going behind the clouds, it's still warm and humid. So it was still a good day. And after I prepped the dinner, which was my homemade pizza, and I'm not sure if I provided the pizza recipe in the on the blog. I'm pretty sure I provided at least one or two recipes so far, but I need to search through and see if the pizza is there. If not, that's an idea for another post. I think if you try it, you'll like it. And I'm one of these people that like to limit the amount of ingredients in any meals while preserving as much, taste and freshness of the food without any, unnecessary elements or ingredients. So it's made out of produce that is fairly easily accessible in regular shops or markets, and you don't need many of them to create that. And after we ate pizza, we decided to go to Rosnola. And Rosnola was, we were kind of expecting a little bit of rain, and the wind was kind of strong in the afternoon. But I said, like, listen, guys, you want to surf? Uh, if you want to surf, then we need waves. And how do you get waves? A lot of, you know, one of the key elements that help waves to get created is the wind. Uh, Outside of other factors and vectors that take part of that complex process of generating waves. But the wind is one of the important ones, and the more wind, it usually means that those gusts also bring some swell, which is, in simple terms, the the number, or I would say the strengthening of the flow of waves into the beach, into the shore. So we packed our stuff and went to Rosnola with fingers crossed and hoping that we'll get some waves. When we arrived, it was maybe 1 hour and a half since the top high tide, so the ocean was kind of pulling back. There was very little space on the beach, and I was kind of afraid because some of you already know when you listen to that or read the blog, but some of you probably don't, that know that our beach in Rosnola is one of those that you can actually drive into, and it's fairly sturdy and flat surface that a lot of cars can get in, and it's a great place to kind of drive in if you want a beach where you can actually be close to the car but also close to the sea or the ocean. It's one of those. But when the tide is high or close to high, the only strip or that strand of beach is the sand that is very soft and kind of loose and deep, so it's not car friendly. And the remaining narrow stripe of the or strand of the hard sand is still fairly low, but but we managed. I'm very happy with the car that we have and we bought last year, because it it handles the even the soft and very hard, the kind of very difficult sand very well. We saw about two or three cars that got stuck for a moment. Some of them managed to do it themselves after a long while, but one of the cars had to be pushed by about 6 or 7 guys before they got it out of the sand. So, and our car just flew by. Of course, traction control started kind of giving out, that it loses grip, but Beamers are usually having the rear wheel drive, and with those kind of wide tires, it was fairly easy to go through, even with the surfboards at the top and 3 people in. So we managed. And obviously, the tide was going out, so more and more beach was getting exposed. So on the way back, it was even easier to maneuver and turn around and get out of the beach. I didn't go to the water. Julian and Ella did. There were a couple of nice waves there, and they were continuing to learn surfing, which is not as easy as we thought, but definitely I can see the progress. Both Julian and Ella are progressing and standing well, getting the right balance. Myself, I hurt myself a little bit in the recent, I would say, 2 or 3 days, but nothing that would stop me, except for today. I was just cold. I didn't have wetsuit, and I was filming them and taking pictures, which also you can see in the vlog later on. But yeah, that kind of caused me to be exposed to the wind for long, and I had only that shirt, so it cooled me enough. So I started, going back to the car to get a little bit warmer and then go back out. And that made me feel that, I'm too cold already, too chilled to go to the water and get some pre-hypothermic feeling. And I promised Julian that maybe tomorrow or the next day we will go together. But yeah, they spent a lot of time in wetsuits playing with the waves, and then we came back home, and that's pretty much the summary of today. One more thing that I wanted to say, and also thank everyone that are listening, especially on Spotify, because today is the moment that we crossed, well, my podcast crossed the barrier of 400 listens. And why it's so, I would say, special is that it took fairly short amount of time for me to get to 100 listens. Then 200 wasn't that bad, but between, I would say, 350 and 399, it dragged for so long. I saw a huge drop of listens. I'm not sure if it's because I'm boring as hell, or is it because people stopped listening to my podcast in general as a part of their kind of life situation, etc. But yeah, it was dragging, and for 2 or 3 days, it was just increasing 1 or 0, almost kind of, like some days were just 0, some days were 1 or 2 plays, and it was going very slow towards a 399 and stuck there. And I was hoping to give you that update, or kind of see that 400 yesterday, but it was still 399, and it was funny, a little bit upsetting, but also funny that those listens didn't want to go over 400. And I was keeping fingers crossed to get that 400 today. And yeah, it's 402. So suddenly there was a spike of listens yesterday, and I think 2 days before there were like more listens than usual. I don't know why, but maybe Twitter is the driver. I need to check, but analytics are not the best. They only provide whatever Spotify wants to provide to me, so I can't see everything. It's very hard to track. Uh, if I could attach some analytics like Google Analytics or something like that, I might be able to see that, but it's not possible as far as I know yet. So I need to wait for that functionality. All right, we are 26 minutes almost in, so I thank you very much for coming. I appreciate your time and listening to my ramblings and updates, and that journal lives thanks to you. So I hope to see you tomorrow. I will have more updates. Maybe something exciting will happen tomorrow. Once again, I appreciate your listening of my content, and have a great rest of the day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and stay tuned. See you tomorrow.